Everybody, this is Tony Vortex. Tony Vortex, this is my tribe. We go by the Hyvibe tribe. Honored to have you on.
Good peace, y'all.
Welcome. Peace.
Welcome, brother. Peace.
Peace. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for making space.
Are we live yet?
We are live.
Okay, all right, let's get this thing going. I got a little introduction I want to do real quick, y'all. Hold on 1 second. Cut the volume up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am extremely proud to introduce this guest. He is a scientific researcher, author, consultant, and businessman that has been on the path of knowledge, enlightenment, self-improvement for over 30 years. Well studied in metaphysics, herbal healing, and mental wellness, he is a staple to the spiritual/conscious community. His Health and Wellness Center, authorized by the legendary Dr. Delbert Blair, offers a plethora of services from mental health care, education, spiritual tools, nutrition, herbal care, all the way down to environmental protection such as EMF blockers. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Vortex in the building.
There it is. That's the introduction.
Man. You did that yourself, gang?
What'd you say, bro?
You wrote that?
Yes, sir.
Man.
I did my best.
Man, I need you to introduce me sometime. That's a beautiful introduction, man. I feel like I know this brother already now. It's nice to meet you, Tony, man. I'm Specular Man below.
Likewise.
Appreciate it. So let's dive right into it. Well, I guess we did the intro already, but I still would like to know a little bit more about, your background, what got you into metaphysics, and what drives you to do what you do.
Cool. Well, overall, drive comes from just love and knowledge. Love to learn, really, no matter really what it is. And so that's why at the center, for example, we may have health classes, but we also may have classes that deal with, like right now, we're building Tesla towers. We're building these off-grid communicators just in case, for example, if there's like a gridded down scenario. All the fear-mongering online talks about how there'll be power outages and everything else. Well, how will you be able to communicate?
Right.
Communication is pretty much number one. You want to communicate, whether it be with your loved ones or friends, whoever. You know what I'm saying? So like we're building those now, literally. The classes are free, don't even cost you anything. I provide all the equipment and everything, and you just come and learn. So is this for to seek the advancement of knowledge so that we all could be knowledgeable and whatever that may be, right? So that's primarily what drives me. Started many years ago. Originally, got me into health. Family members, everybody here looks like they are so-called melanated black. So, a lot of our people like those sweet potato pies and all that sugar stuff and everything else. And so family members dying, and I was young, so still trying to understand the concept of death, really, but I just seen that my people were suffering, and then it started me on the path of learning why and how, and try to come up with some solutions to that.
Yeah, I noticed that on your website, I believe in your bio, it said that since 11 years old, the fact that you was 11 years old and you was already thinking like that, like my people was dying from eating this stuff that's epic, because I had the same conversation with myself before. We quick to, as people, we quick to say, oh, we gotta stop the black on black violence, put the guns down, blah blah blah, and protest this and protest that. But when we lose our family members to these illnesses, nobody wants to protest or even think about protesting the foods that we eating. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people not thinking that deep to say, oh well, well, they died of high blood pressure from always eating salty foods, or they diabetes from always eating sugary stuff. We never want to protest and put that stuff down. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's huge that you caught on to that at such a young age.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So, yes, that's what we do. Try to be, a lot of people talk about it, doing whatever it is that they do, whether it be personal things or things for the community, and we actually literally do it, so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you also very, oh, go ahead, Doctor.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was about to say, I do notice in our community, when you do start talking to them about the foods and the processing of it, their favorite line is, well, we got to die from something. And I just, because it's like, if you got to die from something, then why are you complaining about dying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't like the other excuse too is, well, we lived off pig feet. Your grandmama, great grandmama lived off pig feet. You can eat pig feet. And it's like, this stuff is nasty. You know what I'm saying? Well, put some hot sauce on it. So I had to stomach it, but I never really digged the pork for a long time. It was later years in my life when I had them stomach pains, man, for over a year, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And I realized it was the pork, and it never came back. But it was like, we think that the killer is the cops and the gangs and this, that, and the third. It's really is salt and sugar. Is our number one enemy.
Exactly. Exactly. So also, to everybody that's tuning in or everybody that might hear this later, I want y'all to understand how epic this is, right? This conversation is, because we got one brother that came up under Dr. Delbert Blair and another brother that came up under Bobby Hemmett on the same platform at the same time. That for me, that's profound. You know what I mean? Both of those men were legendary in their teachings, and this is it's super epic for me.
Shame.
Tony, if you could, could you tell us a little bit more about Dr. Blair? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I know his legend. I don't know much of his work, but again, I know his legend. His name rings bells in the spiritual community to this day. Brothers, am I lying? When we just went to the Nine Ether God Fest, they mentioned him on stage. And I think they even brought him up at the first event. They brought him up and they brought his name up. You know what I mean? So, but I like I said, I know his legend, but I don't know much of his work. So, can you tell us a little bit about Dr. Blair, what it was like learning from him? What brought you two together in the first place?
Okay, so I'll start with Dr. Blair there first. So officially, he started to do his rounds around 1973. So around 1973, he became more of a public figure at that point, and he was a historian, engineer. So he did engineering work. That's what he did to live, and he was a historian as well. Went to school for that. And then also, obviously, he's a metaphysician. And so what really separated him from many others was that, so in 1973, if we go back to that time, most of the UFO or that kind of conversation, alien kind of conversation, everything else was typically reserved for so-called white folks. And the typical people that you would hear, if they had an alien experience, was either a gray alien or a Nordic, Aryan white person. You know what I'm saying? That's who you would see, right? Those who are coming down to save civilization and all other stuff, right? And so you had this so-called black guy getting on the radio at the time, talking about he met two extraterrestrials who were they looked like regular so-called black brothers walking down the street. They had afros and everything, right? So that was pretty revolutionary at that time. That's something that you didn't hear from pretty much anyone. Along again with his metaphysical knowledge, his historical knowledge, all that stuff as well. You get what I'm saying? And so, of course, a few years later, it came out with monatomic gold, which we still sell today, which helps the brain, the pineal gland, and so forth. It can help for many it boosts creativity. For others, it helps with dealing with focus and so forth. So he's created many of these kinds of products and things that we do utilize today. Now, how I met him, of course, this is many years ago. We're talking about 25 years ago at this point. I was kind of, I used to get DVDs from this store that was in the area, conscious DVDs, let's say, because the social media wasn't really popping yet at that time. You get what I'm saying? So, getting DVDs, getting the Bobby Hemmings, getting the Malachi Yorks, getting all these different people, right? And been watching them. I came across Dr. Blair, started binge watching Dr. Blair, just every video I could get, and then I found out. Well, first I was wondering, like, why are all these people either on the East Coast or somewhere down south? There was really nobody in our region up here. You get what I'm saying? And so then I found out that he was from Chicago. And most of the videos at that point started to look older, so I was hoping he was still, with us. And then I found out he lived right down the street from me, like literally a few blocks away. You know what I'm saying? And so I know, yep. So I said, okay, what's the odds of that? So I ended up going to this place, meeting him, and from that point, I was with him practically every day for about 9 years or so until he passed away.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Shout out to Dr. Blair because a lot of times, we meet some of our heroes or, these people we look up to and sometimes you get let down, so the fact that y'all was able to lock in like that and, him to share his information, which was crazy. That's how you know it was an alignment for sure. And, you've definitely been doing an amazing job of picking up where you left off, and you're doing some amazing things for the community with your mind tuning and the trips that you guys have. I've been seeing that on your website about the Tesla thing, but I didn't know how deep it got till you just talked about it. I'm definitely going to try to catch some of those classes if it's not too late.
But it says the class is... Oh, no, continue. I don't want to interrupt.
Oh, no, I was pretty much done.
The Tesla classes overall, so we do classes all the time. Just for you all who listen and who may listen, we do classes all the time, right? So it's based on, we do a class, and it's not even about classes that I know all the information myself. Like, these are classes that I'm learning to do, right? And so we end up doing a class where it'll be about hydroponics, where we actually build a hydroponic system from ground up. But it'll be about going to space. Now, these are things we actually done already. Went to space and everything. So, like, literally, we built some equipment that we sent up into space, and you can look at that on our YouTube channel. 4K cameras on it, had GPS. We ended up launching it in Illinois. Ended up coming down almost near Indianapolis, and we had to go out there into a cornfield and get it. So,
can you state your YouTube channel just for the audience listening?
Yeah, it's the Metaphysician Chicago.
Metaphysician Chicago. Everybody listening.
Yep.
Yep.
So, we could be community oriented. You get what I'm saying? And so it's about learning experience, constructive learning experience, but we're community oriented. So after we get through any project, for the most part, I give some options of new projects. We kind of vote on it, and that's the new project we work on. Of course, the people who participate, because consistency is always key. People do come in and out, but those who are consistent get that privilege of even bringing up new ideas and things to do a new project, whatever that may be. So,
can I ask you a question, brother?
Yes, sir.
Because, and I'm sure the tribe will agree with me, like, I really enjoyed when you said, I don't know all this stuff. Like, these classes, I'm learning this stuff too. Do you believe that a lot of people who may not understand metaphysics, do you believe that they don't know or maybe are not aware that you know, life is a school, that this earth is a school, you know what I mean? Everything we do is a school.
Yeah, you are 100% spot on. And so, how I tend to phrase what you just said there, how I tend to phrase it is that everything is metaphysical.
Mm.
When people think of metaphysics, they think of it kind of in spookism. You know, they think of
Mm.
like
Yeah.
demon worship or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and they're doing themselves a major disservice in thinking of it like that. So,
Yeah.
metaphysics is pretty much just the study of what's beyond the physical senses.
It's
You
kind
get what I'm saying? So the physical senses, hearing, touch, feel, smell, sight. Okay, so what's beyond that would be your sixth sense, and so that could be the classification of metaphysics. It's everything that the study of those things that are perceived through the sixth sense, right? Which most humans have. Okay, so like for example, if you like some people when they sleep, right, they have sleep paralysis, right? But they just don't have sleep paralysis. Some people, when they kind of wake up in that paralysis state, they see entities around. Well, people don't know that all around the world, there are other cultures who also see other entities around. Well, the study of that would be a metaphysical study. Because there's nothing in the physical sense. There's not necessarily any books on biology or chemistry, anything like that, is going to answer that question. Like, what is that? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just find it strange. I mean, do you do you think it's strange how people can believe that a man walked on water and parted the Red Sea, but can't believe in anything outside of himself? You know what I mean? Can't believe in any metaphysics, or, it's all hogwash. It's, it's voodoo. It's magic. It's anything that isn't, that they believe isn't real. Why do you think that is? Why do people shut that out of their minds? Why is I guess when I'm asking, like, why do you think some people just completely disagree with it?
Well, partly because they don't believe what they believe in the first place. So it's their own even internal lack of belief in what they believe in. So they can't even begin to understand anything beyond that. So, like, of course, in many of these religions, there are supernatural phenomena that take place, right? And if you truly believe that was true, well, there's also supernatural phenomena that's happening all around us all the time.
Right.
And if one talks about that, and then all of a sudden that person who believes in whatever religion they believe in and has a supernatural phenomenon, they give such a visceral reaction. They are, they call it demonic or whatever, this kind of negative aspect of it when their own belief system has supernatural phenomena that goes even well beyond that. Then, we'll be surprised how many people really lack, you could say, faith or belief, and especially knowledge in most things. You get what I'm saying? And so, and then they project that lack of belief, that lack of knowledge to try to put it onto others, so that others can fit the mold that makes them comfortable.
Exactly. Yep. So before we get off subject, I want to ask about the sleep paralysis again because I experienced this in my late teens twice that I can remember, and I've heard people say that sometimes it's a succubus spirit or some sort of sex demon trying to attach itself to you. Would you believe that, or do you think it's something else entirely?
Well, it depends. It depends. So incubus, succubus, kind of like male, female version of these demons that try to, you could say, consume sexual energy and or put certain kind of perverted or perversions onto the person and thoughts and everything else. But every time it's not that. I would say most of the time it's not that. That's more so could be attributed to this demonic influence. But many times, in many cultures around the world, they'll talk about how when one has sleep paralysis, the one that opens their eyes, of course, you can't move, right? And most people get kind of scared. They would notice this dark entity in the corner, or they would notice a heavy presence on their chest, like something is sitting on their chest. So that's more common across the world than, again, incubus, succubus, that's more of a demonic spiritual thing there. Okay, versus just the pure phenomenon of just waking up and being unable to move, like being in between worlds almost.
So what you're saying is you believe that it's more of a demonic spirit if you see something in the corner or you feel something on your chest versus you just waking up and can't move, right?
Well, I'm saying that the incubus succubus is more of a spiritual kind of demonic kind of situation taking place. The entity in the corner, that's a mentality. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't experience.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I didn't experience seeing anything in the corner or feeling like something was on my chest. I just remember waking up and I just only thing to move was my eyes. I mean, I wanted to try to call for help and have somebody to, Mom, come move me, but I couldn't even do that. So I just had to I don't know. It's like I had to. It felt like I had to try to pull my spirit back into myself so that I could, gain function again. It was so weird and so scary. And it happened to me 2 times that I can remember. Might have been more, but I could 2 times specifically I could remember that happened to me. And I never really talked to anybody about it because I guess I could have told somebody I couldn't move, but what was they gonna say? So
That part. Let me say this to you, that's between worlds. So sometime when that happens, you may have or are about to do a out of body experience. Okay, just OBE. So just be aware of that as well. So how that is, many people experience that when they are about to leave their body. Okay, about to detach and have that OBE experience where you're kind of like walking around and you're looking at the world around you. So literally how scary that seems and feels when you have a sleep paralysis. Think about if you actually then got up and you're able to walk around everything else and you look down and you see your body there. So that would be like an OBE, and that's literally one step away from that. Okay, so if they find themselves in that kind of position, they should just stay calm and just breathe. Either 2 things will happen. Either one, you will end up just waking up eventually, or you will end up having that OBE.
Wow.
Yeah, personally, I had an OBE experience, and I actually did leave my body, but I was so excited to do it, I didn't have nowhere to go. So it's like my imagination wasn't fully aware where I could set an intention to explore or have an experience with it. So I kind of just went back. And then after I woke up, I thought about it like, well, maybe I should have just traveled downstairs or just, But I wanted to do it. So I feel like that's why it happened for me, because I was open to doing it. But it's like once I got into it, I didn't have, I couldn't just picture in my mind what I wanted to see or where I wanted to be, so I was just stuck there, and then I just went back in my body okay, I'll try this another time.
Nice. See, it's the lack of education. How I would have known the stuff that I know now back then when that happened, I probably would have tried to do something like you did, and keep going. But I was just so I just didn't know what was happening at all. So.
Yeah, and I think that's true because just speaking on what y'all saying, everything is mind. All is mind. So it's about how much knowledge you have into your mind to be able to experience what it is that is happening and understand what's happening. Even when y'all describing somebody waking up or maybe seeing somebody in a corner, I feel like it goes back into the construct of your mind. What are the thoughts that you have gathered? What are you thinking about? What have you watched before you went to bed? Or, what type of programming do you have that kind of put you in an experience to either fear, to be in a fear or flight type of situation? Because a lot of it has to do with a lot of our programming.
Facts.
Yeah, but I got a question, Brother Tony. First of all, I want to say thanks for coming on the platform and sharing your experience and knowledge with us. But I would like to know what you think about crop circles. What do you think is going on there? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not really sure. So we are a research facility, right? So that's mainly what we are, right? We dive into all the different things we talked about. And so we collect data on all of this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so have crop circles going back to the 60s, 50s or so start popping up. And so, of course, there's been, over the years, you'll see like videos of people showing like how they could be done right, and you'll see like some people with like some boards and they'll be creating these artistic circles, but some of these crop circles are really extravagant in the way that they are. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like this. There's a lot of confusion here in this place that we call our life, right? There's a lot of confusion in this world around us, and anything that really wants us to know something is not going to communicate with us in a way that is either not understandable or which confuses or causes confusion, right? And so one could say, well, maybe it's a lack of knowledge, right? Because supposedly everything's based on math, right? That's what they say, something to that nature. Everything's based on math. And so they're speaking in a mathematical language and everything else, but again, these are assumptions and things that another species will speak in a mathematical language, which is human. But, it just goes on and on and on. So I don't really have a opinion of it one way or another. Only thing I do know is that there's a lot of deception here. Okay, and so I'll take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because when you ask about the crop circles, what I get is it could be the universe speaking to us, or it can be man-made, because we know that man has a lot of machines and they have a lot of information that they are hiding from us that they tend to throw out when it's convenient to them.
Ashe.
So, if you want to know something, one thing I learned, ask, sit in meditation and ask, and you'll get answers that way sometimes. I do believe that the universe has its ways of communicating with us. Like he said, it's not going to be in the form of the language or understanding that we were taught or programmed to. But I also do believe man has a tendency to play on us as well.
Facts. Facts. Yeah, and that's a good point of, universe won't always communicate to us the way we think, because, sometimes you just get a feeling. You just get a vibe about something, you know what I mean, that might redirect your attention. Just like last week, I was talking about how just out of nowhere, I just got this feeling to just, you know, double read the back of those fruit cups. You know, so that could have been a message from the universe, but it was through vibration. It was through, a feeling that I got.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the crop circles because of the geometric shapes they have. You know what I mean? So I was just wondering, could it be some type of, not alien, or not? I don't even want to say alien, but some type of, message from some, from
It
stars
could
or
be.
something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, 100%. Yeah, 100% could be.
Yeah, that's what I believe. I believe some of them are probably very real. Some of them probably are man-made, but I do think that the ones that may be legit are messages or hints left behind, maybe, or something like that.
And I feel like when you say alien, alien just means foreign to us, which everything is kind of foreign to us if we didn't get educated on it. So to say alien is not really a bad term to use outside of the term that they gave it to us, but alien is just something that's foreign to our knowledge or foreign to who we are. We're alien to another country. To other people, we can be an alien to them because we're foreign to them. They don't know our knowledge. They don't know our understanding. They don't know our language. So that would be us being foreign to that tribe or foreign to that state or. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly what you mean. Shoot, I just came from Jamaica, so I know exactly what you mean. So, yeah.
So, Tony, what would be your thoughts on creation? Well, let me go back a little bit. What would be your thoughts? Because, it's conversations of, we started in Africa. Now I came across new information that's saying we really been over here in the Americas. Based on all your knowledge, what would be your thoughts on that? Do you think that we originally started in Africa, or do you think we originally started in America, being that now it's talks and evidence of pyramids over here being older than the pyramids in Africa? My personal thoughts real quick is that, because all the land was together at one point in time. So I don't know. I think that we maybe have started over here and just kind of migrated over there, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, everything that we, for the most part, going to come up with is going to be divine insight, books and things we may read that may have some truth in it, but may be a lot of non-truth. And of course, us actually venturing out and going to these sites, which we do. We have trips every year where we actually venture out and go different places in the world and actually look at things that are not just as a tourist, but to kind of uncover those secrets within our own psyches. You get what I'm saying? So, but with that, the landmass you're talking about, the supposed great landmass was called Pangea. And so if you look at the world itself, if you were even like Google Maps, something like that, and zoom out, you can kind of see how the continents could, in a way, fit together, right? So there's one great landmass here. So now this goes even deeper because supposedly there's this one great landmass that was broken apart. There's land masses that are outside of the great landmass that have been taken off maps and everything else. Of course, they're still there, but for the most part, they don't exist to us anymore because they're not on a map at all. So the only thing we can go to is those that are shown to us in the typical map you'll get from the store. So could we have started, to go to your question yourself, could we have started in Africa? I mean, if you go off of what his story tells us, okay, cradle of civilization, possibly, and we could have migrated to these other lands, right? Because you have the pyramid pyramid and other structures in the Grand Canyon. You have, of course, here in Illinois, at the southernmost point, you have Cahokia, which is also a huge pyramid that they pretty much refused to dig up. And you have the Serpent Mounds of Ohio. So there are pyramid structures, or pyramidal structures all around us. When I was driving across the country, and I was going up through Wyoming to Devil's Tower, which is also called Bear Mountain. That's what some would call a tree stump, whatever it may be, that's way up in the air, and it's out of this world. So some of you don't know what I'm talking about. You should look that up. So look up Devil's Tower. Okay, so, but in driving across the land, especially going through Utah, then Wyoming, everything else, you see way off in the distance pyramids, way off in the distance. That I never knew was there, at all. Period. And I'm looking at this, and you just see these huge that would make the Great Pyramid of Giza look like a little stone on the ground. You're talking about absolutely like 10, 15, 20 times larger than that, right? And a perfect triangle, just sitting out there and everything else. And so this world, there's much more to this world than we are led on to know. Like even the Vatican, let's go to the Vatican. They have supposedly miles worth of books, okay, miles worth, that is locked from the public, that you can't even access it at all unless you're from an approved, pretty much research facility or approved place that they approve. And then on top of that, you have to know exactly the title or book that you're coming to see. And you say, well, if you have miles and miles of books, that's millions of books, let's say. And these are not like books that you may write, that I may write, that they're keeping. Okay, so this is not books you'll find in the Library of Congress. These are old world books. Okay, books in languages that have been far forgotten. Books that talk about creatures and things that, because I have some books, okay, that we have at the center that you can just come see. talking about creatures and things that no longer exist anymore, okay, that literally did or walked the land, because there's multiple sources that said this particular creature walked the land from, different cultures and everything else. And so they have all of this, right? So they would have, so long story short, they would have closer to the truth than majority of us could even wish for, but, so yeah.
I wanted to speak on something you said, like that there's parts of the world that's not on maps, that they're not showing us. Do you think that might explain why some hikers and other adventurers go missing? Like they've entered or gone into these parts of the world, and it's like no trace of them has been found. No backpacks, nothing. And we attribute a lot of those disappearances to UAP phenomena or portals. But when you said that, it struck a chord in me, and I started thinking like maybe that might explain what happened to some hikers. Like they were hiking near, towards the edge of the earth and ended up in this other place and was like, well, hell, why the hell should I go back over there if y'all living like this over here? And so they've been lying to, because I could picture myself finding a place like that and they just teaching me all this stuff like, man, and you didn't know we was over here and we've been watching y'all and that would be kind of iconic for me. What's your thoughts on some of these places that exist? They're just not on maps. Like, how do you think they're living over there? You think the knowledge is fluent and flowing like a river, or you think it's the same?
So that's deep. Y'all asked some really good questions and things, and all these questions are like lectures to themselves. You know what I'm saying? We could spend all day just talking about one of these topics. Just all day long. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so when y'all saying this, I'm trying to go in my memory real quick and try to pull the best out, try to get to you real quick. You know what I'm saying? So that was another good one there. So all right. Okay, so what you're talking about, people go missing things of this nature. This is a well-known thing, especially in the national parks. Okay, national parks are absolutely beautiful. We take trips to all these places, right? And again, you all are welcome to check out the website and call, and you can ask about these things if you choose to. But we always go in groups, and mainly it's because it's something I call the human matrix and the nature matrix. Okay, so this is even why, like military operations and things of this nature, most of the time, especially if we're going into an environment that is full of nature, they're not going to send one person there. They're going to send a group. Why? Because every human, so this goes into our biofield. Your biofield is pretty much created by your heart, and it's influenced by your mind. Okay, so your heart pumping literally creates that biomagnetic field, or what some will call the aura, that's around you. Okay, and it extends out from your body. The stronger, more youthful you are, the further it's out. When a person tends to get older, and we attribute that in some cases to tend to get weaker or more feeble, it tends to come closer to the body. Okay, how we know this? This is also why it could be a room with something going on. It could be a whole orchestra playing in a room, and you will walk through the door, let's say, no one could hear you walk through the door, but yet everybody will turn around and look at you. And there's no reason for them to look at you at all, because your aura, has caused a disturbance, not necessarily a negative one, but caused a disturbance, and now they subconsciously now have to look back and see what that disturbance is, and they're looking directly at you, right? So many of us have experienced this. So that's your biofield. So everywhere you go, you are projecting this biofield. So especially in environments that are huge, like a national forest, which is projecting its own biofield, you could say. But this is what I call the nature matrix, right? And nature matrix can create all types of strange phenomena, right? So this is when you will see creatures that, again, like Sasquatch or Bigfoot, Dogman, portals, weird lights and things that would just appear out of nowhere and disappear, these weird electrical fields that would just literally appear out of nowhere and then disappear. These are phenomena that happen in the natural or nature matrix. Okay? When a human goes into, yes, when humans go anywhere, we're projecting our field. The more humans that are together, more of that field is being projected, and the stronger that field is, which limits the strangeness that can happen from the natural matrix. Okay, so let's say, going back to the missing person thing, right? Let's say if there's 50 of us all walking out into the middle of nowhere in this national park. These national parks are huge. Okay, so we may go hundreds of miles in every direction. So we out there, we deep in the nature matrix, but so many of us, we're projecting such a strong, you could say, biofield that for the most part, nothing strange and unusual will happen, right? But you go out there by yourself, I bet something strange and unusual will happen. You know, maybe even people even who are, what do they call them? The people who work out there, well, the Forest Service, they work for the government. They actually have that. They have stories all the time of them going out there and just observing phenomena that is not explained by, again, the typical five senses, and then we have to go metaphysical with it and try to, break down what's really taking place, right? So portals, you're talking about also ant people and lizard people. There's actually, if I knew we was going to get into this conversation, I had a photo I could even show you all. So underneath California, there's tons of well-known tunnels under California that were supposedly utilized in cataclysms. They would go down there and meet with the lizard people. Okay, now the lizard people are not necessarily, they don't look like lizards or anything like that. These are people who, they just call them that, or they call them mole people again, or some other tribes call them ant people. And these are people necessarily, they look like, they're humanoids. Like us, they look like us. They may have slightly changed due to the fact that they're living underground permanently, but they call them that just because they're underground permanently, kind of thing, right? And these tunnels and things are still underground even right now. The military, when portals and things open up, the military sometimes destroys those entrances. Sometimes they even use it as bases. Like there's one in, I think, Cheyenne Mountain, the Air Force. Use one of these huge caverns for a military base. Okay, so these are very well-known things that do take place. So there's another one here. But nevertheless, there was even you could call it myth, but it's stories of a Germanic tribe, okay, so over there like Germany, okay, that they were communicating and doing deals with a underworld people. And this wouldn't be like the ant people or lizard people, because they're like between, let's say, where we're at and the true underworld, okay? This Germanic tribe was doing deals with, they called it like the king of the underworld in that area, okay? And they were trading gold and everything else. And this is also something that could be easily found, right? So you're talking about beneath our feet, there's also the tunnels and everything else, and also the people who do live under there, and where people do go when cataclysms do happen. But also well beneath that is where you get stories of the true underworld, where like on our website right now, if you go to our website, click on free, you'll find a poster, it's a free poster, which gets into the Hindu underworld. And I break down on there the different levels of the underworld from Hindu mythology, and showing you, because it corresponds, everything's tied together. All these different religions, all these different metaphysical concepts, they seem different at first, but if you research enough, you see like, okay, they're calling this person this name. In this culture, it's the same entity, but the name is different, kind of thing. They all tie together in that way.
Oh shit. Yeah, we talk about that on the tribe a lot.
So I want to ask you, you talked about, you said dog man. Can you give a little bit more detail on that? And the only reason I'm asking is because they just came out with a children's film called Dog Man. It's something like that. Well, anyways, I guess it's a guy that turned into I guess he died or something, and they gave him like a dog head. Matter of fact, I think that is what it's called. I think it's called Dog Man. That's why it stood out to me so much. So, they always put the truth right in our face. So can you give me a little bit more detail on this, on the Dog Man? What is that? I've never heard of that before. As far as being like a different species of...
So supposedly you have these so-called extraterrestrial creatures. You see, I keep saying so-called, right? Because you got to take everything with a grain of salt for purity's sake, all right? You know what I'm saying? So you can't just, when you hear these different concepts and things, I would suggest anyway, that one, just completely just believe it in everything else, because some of it is fantasy, some of it is because of an act of imagination. Some people are plagued by demonic influences, and they are seeing things and stuff like that that you and I would never see, because we're not plagued by demonic influence. Okay, so you'll be surprised what is taking place. But Dog Man, Mothman are supposedly either creatures that came from another dimension, one, or from the old world. Okay, when we say old world, what we're talking about is pretty much the antediluvian age, right? Antediluvian just means pre-flood. Okay, that's all it means. So the pre-flood age, these are part of the creatures and things that were roaming around and that were normally roaming around. It wasn't secret at all in that age. And the flood wiped out majority of them. And then after the flood, even more were wiped out just through hunting parties and things like that, hunting them down. And now they hide kind of in between dimensions per se and show up from time to time. Okay? Or they are experiments gone wrong or experiments gone right and let out into the world around us from government facilities. Okay? So it's going to be one of those three. Okay? And so so that's pretty much that. So Dog Man's typically something you'll find more East Coast, okay, and that's up and down the East Coast, around the Appalachian Mountains, in the forest and things, all kind of in that area.
Mm.
So will it have like a Wolfman type of appearance?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Now, is it possible that all three suggestions that you said is true, just for different entities and different types of creatures? Like, it may be an experiment gone wrong for this creature, but for that creature, that they're actually from another dimension, and then for this creature, it may be that we just really don't understand, that they just kind of transform their physical bodies because they've been living underground for so long. And do you think that's possible? That is
100%.
Yeah. I believe that there's so much going on that we don't, like, it's just too much going on.
I want to ask a question because you talked about the tunnels and stuff like that, and the underground layers and stuff like that. Could that explain why they occupy and using all of the underground tunnels that lead from one state to the other state and stuff like that? They are things that they met in place and they just occupied it because of when you look at the sophistication of those tunnels and stuff like that, it could be that these persons occupied them, and then when we learned of them, they moved out and moved even deeper into the core of the earth. And the other question is, could you explain the vortex?
All right, so to answer your first one there, that's possible. A lot of these were from an old world civilization, so we still have some of the buildings around from the previous civilization. And so if you ever come to Chicago, for example, we do a tour yearly here, or you can go by yourself. Of course, obviously, it's the Museum of Science and Industry. So the Museum of Science and Industry, when it was the World Fair, the 1893 World Fair, they called it the Palace of Fine Arts. And so if you ever looked up any of the world fairs, okay, they were all over the place. Paris, St. Louis, I believe Philadelphia as well. But it's quite a few different places, right? And you'll see these grand buildings and everything else, and they tell you that they did all of that because it was temporary. And it would look like a world. It would look like something from a sci-fi film. But it was real, okay? And it was not actually temporary. They destroyed them, all right? And so, but in all of these places, there are some remnants of buildings that are still around. So the Museum of Science and Industry, again, it looks like a palace, huge, absolutely huge doorways and everything else. And that's a building that either was created right after the flood. Okay, so the flood waters receded, and these are buildings that were created by a previous civilization, or it's a building from pre-flood. And again, all around the world too, and stuff like that. So absolutely, again, palace, marble floors, all kind of stuff, right? So now, say your second question again for me, sister.
The vortex, explaining the vortex.
Okay, so vortexes could come in different, they come in different ways, but the Chicago vortex, what we talk about a lot here, Chicago vortex. Chicago vortex is, if you look at a weather map, for example, that goes over Lake Michigan, you would find that the weather pattern, once the clouds, everything else, it gets close to Lake Michigan, it starts to spin. It all starts to spin, almost like a tornado, and then they go off into whatever direction they're going off to, going east. And so we call that the vortex, and the vortex tends to keep people here. So a lot of times when people come to Chicagoland area, especially if they move here and they're even supposed to be a temporary move, or families have moved here, stuff like that over time, these families, these people tend to just stay, almost like they're stuck and can't leave. Okay, that's a known phenomenon in the Chicagoland region. Okay, families come here, don't leave. Okay, they stuck with the Chicago vortex. But the Chicago vortex also is a protective mechanism, so you could say, because it's creating like we talk about biofields, so it's creating like its own field that when people are within it, we kind of have our own thing going on. People don't really leave from it. But also, natural disasters don't happen up here either. Okay, nothing really happens here. You know what I'm saying, at all. And so that's a phenomenon of this particular vortex.
Then the other question there again, we talked about, there's the Bermuda Triangle that everybody talks about. But I know that, like, when we're flying out of Miami into the Bahamas, there is like what they call a trailwind or a crosswind that is really, really difficult for planes. They have to find alternative routes and stuff like that to land, or that wind will really cause those planes to crash. What are your take on the Bermuda Triangle?
That's most definitely could be considered a vortex as well. Okay, and what that vortex does, I'm not 100% sure. I can only go off what lore it says and everything else. That, of course, people end up missing all the time. Ships end up missing all the time. There's supposedly been people, ships and things, or people who have disappeared and then just reappeared sometime later, okay, whether it be days, weeks, or years later, okay? And so supposedly it's known for all of this. So also, if we're going to go kind of into the spookism a little bit, that there's supposedly, some say anyway, that there is a ancient civilization that lives, like that's their base of operations, deep down in the ocean in that area. And so they say some of these Navy, people have said that, they're patrolling around that area at night, and you just see, let's say like UFOs just coming out the water, at high speed, going straight into the air and stuff like that. And so there's been supposedly many accounts of that as well. Mm-hmm. What's true? All of it could be true. Mm-hmm.
Well, growing up in that vicinity, you hear all of those stories. One of the things for myself, I was, and I say past tense, was a certified diver, and there's something we call the cliff. So a lot of people like to take that chance and go off the edge, like that 100 feet dive, and then they're again just disappear, never to reappear. And then there are some who went down deep enough and seen some things that we would not want to see, talk about or say on the surface, and so you promise yourself never to go down that deep anymore. So yeah, so I get it now. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome, sister. We kind of played on it a little bit in that Black Panther, the last one, one of the last ones where it's talking about the that underwater civilization.
Yeah.
Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to hear it from another perspective, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't see the second Black Panther, so I don't know exactly what you're referring to.
Because here in Kenya also, there's a vortex over Mount Kenya that when they try to planes cannot fly over that mountain or it gets sucked in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely something on top of Mount Kenya for sure. Cause it was many days I was trying to get a good. It was only one day that it was clear enough where I could see the very tip. All the rest of the days it was always just a cloud or something just right above it where you just couldn't get that clear view.
And then at night you could see it has an electromagnetic pull because at night there's a company in, I think it's Switzerland, that runs power from pure energy from that mountain also. So then there's another spot here in the Indian Ocean. They call it the Devil's something, but it's another something just like the Bermuda Triangle. So I just wanted to know more about the vortex and how that functions.
Okay. Well, Tony, I do know that you said that you had an hour today. Feel free to stay as long as you like. We usually go for about 2 hours. So if you had a little bit more time, that'd be great. But I do want to respect your time. If you gotta run, you gotta run. But again, thanks so much for tapping in. We greatly appreciate it. Hopefully we can get you on here again. Do you have a little bit more time, or you?
Yeah, I could do about 15 more minutes, brother.
Okay, nice. Would anybody else have any questions? I mean, I got a question, but I'm gonna let somebody else go if y'all got another question. Or...
I have one.
While y'all thinking there, the movie, check out Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Okay, that's the one where it's the underwater. You're going against the underwater race, Tolucan. Okay, and so it's interesting. So you have to check that out if you haven't.
Good. Definitely.
Yeah, I had a question in reference to him stating about the religion and how it all leads to the one thing. It all leads to the same thing, which we discussed last week on our podcast. I just wanted to know your perspective and understanding of, let's just say, I guess, Christianity and interpreting that most of it is mythology, even though it is spiritual messages within the book. A lot of people take it literal, not realizing that those words are not meant to be taken literal.
Yeah, so, continue on.
No, yeah, so I just wanted to know, like, what was your aspect or understanding of that? Like, do you believe that it's, like, you know, the ones that are taking it literal, it's not understanding that it's not meant to be taken literal, like, it's messages in it, but you have to be on a certain spiritual level to get the message that's within it, instead of thinking that those words are meant to be followed and copied as they're written.
True. When it comes to Christianity, a lot of it, some could say, is encrypted, where literally you have to be a part of certain fraternal orders and things of this nature to get the, what do you call it, the keys to be able to know exactly what they're talking about, because they are the ones who encrypted it. Okay, and so also when it comes to metaphors and analogies and things of this nature, some of it is like that as well. It's more so like telling a story or represents something in a form of a person, okay? Because it may be, that person may be representative of a landmass, or maybe representative of a lineage, this point, then, it's kind of in a way confusion.
Yes.
Okay, because especially if it's put out there on one hand that this is the book for, kind of like a rule book for life kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So because here, everybody who comes to this place, right, it's kind of interesting. We come to this place, locked into this simulation in a way. And when you come here, you get this rule book, right? But the rule book is not easily understood, but at the same time, especially in many churches and things of this nature, they will tell you that, God's not the author of confusion kind of thing, but yet most people are confused when they read these types of books and things of this nature. And so it's all of that and then some. Now, we have to be careful when we look at things and say that potentially all things lead to the same, because that's not necessarily true, and because it just depends on what we are looking at. So for example, so we know when we look at supposedly in these books, especially coming from the Christian perspective, Satan or the devil pretty much wants to be looked at as the one, okay, and mimics, let's say, the things that God does, right? So, for example, the God has the living algorithm, so that's what we live in here now. So when you put forth using some metaphysical things like that, The Secret, or when you put forth good work, you actually kind of expect blessings or good opportunities to happen, right? What you're playing on when you do that is the living matrix. Okay, so that's the living matrix, or we can say universal laws. Okay, the devil, you can say, or the adversary, because they want to mimic, you could say, God, and want to be looked at as the one, they create the artificial algorithm. Okay, so that artificial algorithm will be like our algorithms that we deal with every day, all day now, right? But of course, it's faulty. So, for example, you may try to do something, you're looking for something, it skews the results, okay, because it's not a perfected, it's mimicking the true source, right? But then also, when we go back and we look at biblical lore, so for example, people didn't know, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you here, have heard of Enoch, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so people talk about Enoch and people should read Enoch and stuff like that, but people don't really know that there were two Enochs. It wasn't just one, it was two. Okay, one comes from the adversarial side and one comes from the prophet side. Okay, and so now that causes confusion. So that means that when you're reading these books, which one are you really reading from? So for example, so we have, of course, Adam and Eve, right? And based on this story, Adam and Eve, right? Adam and Eve were the newest genetic experiment because there were people already in the world, okay, already around. So they're the new genetic experiment in Eden due to certain circumstances that took place. For whatever reason, they wanted to, well, first off, the ground was poisoned, okay, and the ground was poisoned because of the treachery that Adam and Eve put forth, again, the whole forbidden fruit thing and everything else. From that point, so now the ground is poisoned, right? Because before, think of it like this, right? Adam was able to walk around, or Eve was able to walk around, and food would disappear, right? They didn't have to toil for anything, right? So when they betrayed the supposed geneticists, because these are really geneticists, okay, who they could call God. Yes, they could, but again, there were people already around. So then who's their God then? Are these same geneticists created all these other types of people that were around outside of Eden too? Or that's another God? Or, who are we talking about now? Okay, but let's go back to Eden. So you have, so because they betrayed some of the laws in Eden, this God said that you now have to toil for your food. So instead of just appearing when you walk, now you have to actually farm. Okay, now later on, they had children. This is Cain and Abel. When it comes to Cain and Abel, for whatever reason, they have to give God an offering for whatever reason. Okay, Abel did a blood sacrifice. obligation instead of Abel doing it because they really wanted to please God, thinking this is all this supposed story, right? So from that point, Cain was doubly cursed, and at that point, it became where he was cursed, where nothing overall that he does from his own hands will bring forth fruit. So now, not only do you can't toil, but now even if you have gifts, those things that you do try to bring forth are not going to come. So that means that this entity in its lineage would use others' talents, will primarily use other people's talents to give them riches, because they can't do it themselves. Okay, so if you keep them when I'm kind of going here, right? So, so Cain was kicked out, eventually kicked out of Eden, and ended up, he was very scared to be kicked out, but he said, if you kick me out, that I will be killed by them outside of Eden immediately. So that means that if you think about, if we go back over these are geneticists that created Adam and Eve and everything else, more than likely they were very high intelligence as far as the Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel. They were very high intelligence, more than likely, and they were probably very strong too. But yet he was afraid of whatever's outside of Eden, because those beings were even more intelligent and or strong and or even more fierce, right? And so then God gave him supposedly a mark, whatever this is. Okay, some think it's horns, some think that he would move the horns. You know, it could go in different directions that allow him to roam the land without being killed immediately. Okay, so now while that's going on, he ended up having eventually a son. His son was Enoch. This is Cain. Now this is the lineage that represents materialism, the lineage that represents defilement, that represents hatred. Okay, that has been cursed to not bring forth their own blessings per se, but it doesn't mean they have to use us, but that's the way they went with it, because they've been cursed by God, but it's just grand geneticists, they have to use others, so that's that bloodline. Now, Cain, of course, killed Abel, so then eventually this geneticist, you could say this God in Eden, created the next version of Abel, who was called Seth, okay, S-E-T-H, okay, so Seth bloodline lineage, after about 5 to 7 children down, because it's like the great grandchildren, Abel or Seth's bloodline created a Enoch, and this Enoch was blessed by God. Okay, so much so that God supposedly here, just in this grand geneticist, took Enoch to the higher heavens. Okay, that's above the firmament. Okay, took Enoch above the firmament to see the highest heavens in the flesh. So he was one of the only people that was allowed to see, pretty much see heaven in physical form. Okay, and Enoch brought forth Noah, who built the supposed ark, who was one of the last pure humans who obeyed God's laws, who again was favored by God, right, and could be saved because his genetics weren't tampered with. Now, this tampering, what do we mean not tampered with? Okay, but it goes to different things. Think about it. Most of us right now, unfortunately, have been tampered with. Most of us. So if you've got any injections to go to school or anything like that, you don't know what that is. And even if it is exactly what it says it is, that means that you've been given a disease.
Yes.
Okay, this is just plain just thinking here, right? So that means that we are all tainted. So if there was an ark being built right now with pure humans, if you got any of those, then you would not be a pure human anymore. These are the things that went on pre-flood. Okay, and much more also went on as well. But because again, these stories could go forever, you know.
Yeah.
But so yeah.
Yes, thank you. That was awesome. That was awesome. Yeah.
That actually that adds to my question and kind of, you know, I mean, you pretty much answered a lot of it, but my question was more around the fact of, like, you know, the Matrix that we see and we live in today. Right? I wanted to know your take on, like, okay, the understanding of the matrix that we're living in, like the way we understand it versus the way a person who's never heard of the concept or idea that they're living in a simulation, how best would you go about, like, explaining that to them?
To explain, so I can understand your questions you put forth here, man. To explain,
Like what examples would you give them that they're living in?
Living in the matrix. I wouldn't even give them an example. From my end, right, I would ask them a question. I would say, do you notice anything that's just any kind of odd or strange or unusual thing that is just not the basic day-to-day, what you expect kind of things taking place, right? And the reason why I'll do it like that is because I've been doing this for a long time, and it's not that I have all the answers, but I just notice consistently that when opening people's awareness, when they may not be nowhere near the level of their awareness you're about to open them up to, it can cause a lot more problems than whatever you were trying to bless them with. Let's just say you may have good intentions. You know what I'm saying? Like good intentions. You may just say, "Hey, I love my brother or sister. I'm just trying to do this, whatever." But in you thinking you're doing this right thing, you may end up causing them so much heck in their life, and then it becomes. Then we have to honestly ask ourselves, look in the mirror, and say, even though I know this higher level truth, I know it for a fact, right? Let's say you were 100% correct, right? But in me telling them this, even though I feel they were living a lie, but in telling them this, now they're living in squalor, right? And so, or their life just went to hell, okay? And they can't get out of it because they didn't naturally reach that higher level truth on their own. You told them this, but they don't know the concepts and the work you have to do to actually legitimately achieve that level. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, and so they end up going through all this heck in hell, and they can't get out of it. So then it becomes, truthfully, within us, for those who are aware, was it really right for me to do that? Without replacing that with something that could sustain them.
Right.
Truly sustain them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I tend to, again, I've been doing this for a long time. You get what I'm saying? And so I've seen different, what it can cause and the problems it can cause. So, so for me, I more so just ask them questions about where they're at, kind of things they see, and if they do say certain key things I'm looking for, like maybe they talk about, let's say what you brought up about the national parks and stuff like that, right? Okay, well that opens the door to certain kinds of conversation.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. There's levels to this.
Yes,
Yep. That's exactly what you're saying. There's levels, and somebody could mentally go insane getting some information that they have not mentally opened up to even understand, because it's not part of their will or their class right now. Like, we're in different classes here on Earth. It's a different education system.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And you
People
know,
commit suicide getting some information they don't understand.
Right. And you know I asked you that because of your picture, and as long as you've been doing this, I had to get some more insight from you, because I'm new to this, and I'm already at that where you're at, saying, like, I ask the questions. Like, I have a lot of conversations with Christians and Muslims and stuff like that, and because I was a part of it all and studied, like, I see that it's all connected. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can see that, but I've found it best to ask them questions based off of their belief and what they're already actively pursuing. So if it's Christianity, I ask them questions based on that, and it always gets crickets. Always. They're always just like, wow, and it feels better that way than to almost like do what the Christians and Muslims did and the Jews did. Just, they got the swords and you're gonna believe in this, or I'm gonna slice your head off. You know what I mean? It just seems more authentic that way. more naturally organic than, you know.
Absolutely, that was super powerful
Yeah,
because
thank you.
that's what I mean. That's why I got to the point where I'm at now. Like only exactly what you said. It just let's see how the conversation goes. Let's ask certain questions and see where your mind at is on certain things because
Right.
I'm telling you, I've seen the fear in people's eyes talking about certain stuff. I've seen how they withdraw and just want to just get defensive. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you can even feel the energy sometimes when people just, oh, I don't want to talk about that. They don't say it, but that's their energy. Oh, I don't want, they withdraw. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's super powerful.
Okay.
Spread around for stuff.
I was going to say to you, I do have to go to another call, but I want to, there was a point that I kind of went past, kind of went on that tangent of the old world antediluvian stuff that I wanted to make sure, I wanted to come back and answer a question about seeing how all things lead to the same thing. And how I said that's not necessarily the truth in all cases, it just depends. So, of course, based on that conversation, we see two bloodlines, right? So we see the bloodline of Cain, which is a defiled bloodline who did mix with a lot of the population and so on and so forth, right? Defiled them through his blood because his blood is cursed, right? And then, of course, we see, and he had an Enoch. And then on the other end, we have an Enoch that was from the, let's say, the blessed bloodline, and he blessed because this God who is, it's kind of interesting because this God who favored a blood sacrifice would be considered a blood god, okay? Okay, and, and blood gods are like Moloch, Baal, B-A-A-L, and these are Canaanite kind of gods that want child sacrifices and everything else. It makes you go, yeah, this is deeper metaphysical kind of thinking here, like, I mean, is that really the God, the God that I think, who is this God who wants blood like that, right?
Right.
So anyways, though, but besides that, the reason why we have to be kind of careful, that is, in saying that all things lead to the same, because of course you have like Hinduism, right? Hinduism, you have all these different religions all across the world, and most of these through religious, biblical, spiritual understanding have been created by an adversary. Oh, okay? And so if they all lead to the same thing, then who is that leading to? Because let's say, again, it all depends on who's one God or higher source is, right? Because if one, let's say, if higher source is more so toward, let's say, what supposedly the line of Abel of Seth is saying, of, let's say, God of creation, let's just say, and this and that, unless we don't have a true or correct understanding of what this God of creation truly is. Okay, maybe it is a blood God. Maybe it is. This is what it is, and we have a misconception of it. Okay, but if we don't have a misconception of it, and this creation God is one, let's say, of mercy, and let's say has attributes of helping those in need and everything else, well then many of these religious creations created by that line of Cain and created by those adversarial demonic forces would not lead to the same endpoint as those of that other source that does deal with mercy and does deal with love and care and togetherness with their people, all that kind of stuff. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I'm gonna make sure I'm not being confused. Like, I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. Okay. So we just be careful because can we say, for example, if you look at Hinduism, for example, and I'm not saying this is, when we just look at, again, this is from the metaphysical perspective. When we look at Hinduism, this is one example. And we see that it's pantheon of gods and all these attributes and all these things going on. Okay, again, a lot of that is metaphor and the knowledge and things like that too, yes. But some of these entities and I'm just going to pick on Hinduism, but a lot of these entities and a lot of these different religions are out the box. You know what I'm saying? And they require, again, sacrifices. They require these things.
Right.
Okay? And so then one could kind of align themselves, especially if one is on the path of trying to be spiritually liberated, and reach their highest self possible. And if that higher self is aligned with a source that does deal with, again, with that values family. Because one of these entities don't value family. Okay, now if you're one of the entities that don't value family, then yeah, maybe one of those Pantheon gods is yours. Okay, but if you are one who really values family, even if you may have had a shaky family background, but you see the value in having family, all right? You see these things like this, well then maybe you're more toward the other end, that everything can't go that end, because that end requires obedience. You know what I'm saying? It requires you to fast, it requires you to pray, it requires you to pretty much act right, act a certain way, act that way in the world that you want to see. The other way necessarily doesn't require that necessarily. You get what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It happens. So yeah, so I kind of jumped around a little bit, but I want to make sure that I said that point that we were talking about. So
and that was perfectly interpreted. 100%.
Yeah, we don't feel you jumped around at all, brother. That was a great explanation, and nice. You gave a lineage to the context, So, thank you.
So you know what? I just want to ask this one question. It's a very quick question. And honestly, you could just say yes or no. You talked about Enoch and Cain. Do you consider that Enki and Enlil that's the same? Are they the same people? You could just say yes or no, just so we could just wrap it up.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Mr. Tony, have you ever looked into William Donahue?
William Donahue, that name sounds familiar, and I may have. It sounds very familiar, but I'll have to go back and check.
Yeah, I would definitely add him into this knowledge package of, greater experiences, because he breaks down the Bible in a tremendous way that I think would actually help with a lot of questions that a lot of us have with really understanding what is being written and what's being said. And he has opened up my eyes to see the Bible and a lot of the other religions in a better way that is so much understanding, like it really hits your soul, where it's no question behind some of the things, and the research he shows you where he got it from is just amazing.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
But it was a pleasure, you all, speaking to being on this platform with all of you all. I didn't know, of course, he told me everybody comes to the center, Jared does, and so when he told me about it, I didn't know what to expect one way or another. I was happy to be on here, and it was most definitely a pleasurable experience. So I appreciate all of you all.
I'll say.
Thanks for having you.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Have a
If
great
you don't
day.
mind, after y'all get through here, I could end up putting this on our platform as well, but we'll talk about that later. So I'll reach out to you, Jared.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You too.
Peace, brother.
Bro.
I say.
Peace.
So yeah,
Right,
family, that was epic, man. It was so much more that I wanted to talk about. I'm sure y'all did too. And
Who was the
definitely
one?
gonna take it.
That was epic, really epic, y'all. Tony Vortex in the building. Would you say serious?
That was nice. Yeah, I was saying, who was the walking anomaly that was on there? Did anybody notice that?
Not sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Who was that? Was that with somebody with Tony or something?
Possibly.
That's somebody with him.
I believe
Oh,
so.
okay. Yeah, I was about to say, I didn't know either. I do expect it added him in.
Yeah,
I thought he was somebody from the just from the rest of this board.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, man, and then I was thinking too. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to fix that because we don't want to be when we start really get going. That'll be I mean, it's good. Obviously that wasn't a problem because he stayed on mute the whole time, but that can get, you know how some, how some people can get. It's like not on purpose. You know what I mean? Just so.
Yeah, a good book though on what we was talking about today is The Rebirth of Pan by Jim Brandon. Talks about a lot of the stuff we spoke on today.
Yeah.
It's a really good book.
Man, shout out to Sirius, man. You a real smooth, cool Puerto Rican dude type brother, man. You know what I mean? Like I say that because it rhymes and it's from Friday, next Friday. But man, you was real smooth, brother. Because you're in that lane too. You know what I mean? And I love how this is why this tribe is just beautiful because I love how you actually like, you know what I'm saying, you allowed him to, you know what I mean, show his presence and you know what I mean? Yeah, that was cuz y'all could have went in.
Yeah, but the show was about him, so he was the guest.
Right. And we all was able to get some questions in there, but y'all two could have went and that's actually that's got me thinking like that might be, you know what I'm saying, a future thing where it's just you know what I mean, where y'all could, because that'll be good too, man. This I'm sure we'll watch it, we'll be reposting it on ours and stuff too, and that's gonna create a lot of different avenues for us, y'all. That's
Yeah, absolutely.
How long before the going live capabilities kick in?
well, we live on fan base. We just waiting on the the time things with the other platforms. They got rules and stipulations,
Oh, okay.
and time frames and all that. So
Yeah, I did like how though he brought up a lot of things. Again, just shows how connected we are and how we're vibrating within our community that we do have outside of other communities. Because even within some of his conversations, he still brought up things we literally just talked about last week.
yes,
Like so that's no confirmation.
yes.
I'm telling you,
I was
those divine alignments never gets old.
yeah.
It's just so refreshing. It's refreshing every time.
Yeah.
I was wondering when one of y'all was gonna say something because I forgot all about it till you just said something. But yeah, he was speaking on a lot of stuff we've already covered and confirmation, man. It's crazy. He got that whole thing going on over there.
I was chilling.
Yeah, I had went to Jamaica to Negril, and I was out there traveling, and we had got some explorations around the world. It just make you look at America different, though. Like to see their traffic signs. Well, they ain't got no traffic signs. How they like it? Just like wow, like it just shows
on the other side of the road. You know what I'm saying? The steering wheels on the other side instead on the side we on.
They don't got no lights that go green. They just has to go, and it's just like wow, just show you how we follow a lot of rules here in America, and you think that that's how the world works when
and that's how it's supposed to be. Yep, you still work. You still work the less rules. You ain't got all them rules over there.
Exactly. Free. They like real. That's really the definition of being free. Free to your land. Free over your land.
But the American dollar over there is worth a lot more than their money.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's a trip. How they shit be
That's
you go to a place, they charge you $700 for some food. You be like, what? That's in Jamaican money.
Okay.
You be like, yes, it's just a trip.
So that was a first.
Yeah.
I freaking got tapped out. At least I don't know what just happened. Y'all just noticed I wasn't there.
Yeah, we did. I was
That
like,
was
what happened?
crazy. I don't understand what just happened at all.
That's crazy.
It just completely shut down. Just this app. It wasn't like my computer or nothing. It just the app shut down on
Just the app itself.
Yeah, I was like, what happened here?
I wonder if these apps are starting to get mind of their own, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they are artificial intelligence.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna shut this motherfucker down. See if I can make this nigga act crazy.
You know what? That's actually a good topic to talk about real quick. Have y'all been seeing the videos of people bullying they home robots, just treating them like trash, kicking them down, throwing them on the floor, things like that? Do y'all think that is the beginning of the AI war that a lot of people believe is coming? because they show this again. They show us this stuff in movies. So they show this robot war and stuff like the Terminator, iRobot. Do you think that is the start of that? If all that was to come to true, do you think that's the start of it? Because these robots, if they're advanced intelligence and they're going to continue to learn, and there's already robots out here talking about kill humans. I just see that as, especially how they keep showing these videos on the internet. I don't know. I just feel like that's their way of introducing it. You know what I mean? What's y'all thoughts on that?
I haven't personally seen any videos about people with robots at all, but just you saying that, I mean, my first response that came to mind is programming them to fear. They basically have to protect themselves. So it's all a programming.
That's what I got too.
Then they're programming them to attack us. That's like animals. Animals aren't automatically attackers. We program them to attack us. We killing them, we hunting them down. So then they become fearful of us. So they have to now get into their protect themselves mode. Yeah. So that's what they're creating with electronic, or it's only so long before that is what is going to happen.
Yeah, because they be programming these AI to be racist and shit too.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I got fear mongering off of it.
We're no different than them. We are programmed to be the way we are, so they're doing that to electronics. Then it's only so long before it's going to be attacked. It's going to be us against them, because they're not going to feel like we care for them. If you showing them you have no care and you kicking them and beating them up, that's how bullies are created.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like it's.
When I was in Jamaica, I didn't see no racism over there in Jamaica. I didn't even see anything that looked remotely close to racism.
I think a lot of this stuff is.
That part was amazing.
I think a lot of this stuff is fear mongering too. Like a lot of it's going to be like centralized and regionalized. It's gonna. That's what I think anyway.
And they're gonna be talking about robot rights and how you gonna go to jail if you seen attacking a robot. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck is on? That's what's gonna be next, and it's just stupid. It's like, why buy something you don't?
For real, how many of y'all would be down to go to Jamaica though? I would try to be down to go to Jamaica.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I got the place to stay already. I got the connection for the Airbnb already. So all we gotta do is get the ticket and go over there. You know what I'm saying?
You never have to ask me if I'm down to go. It's automatic.
Thank you, brother. Ditto. You spoke for me as well with that statement.
Put it out there because, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to put it out there, because like I was telling the brothers over there that I got a tribe that I'm a part of, and it'd be nice for us to come over there and go live. Cause man, in that place we stayed, bro, it's like a mansion, bro. We could chill up in there. Everybody had their own room. You know what I'm saying? We could go to the ocean, explore, and do stuff. We could even bring people there and kind of bring cultures together somehow or something. You never know what we could do.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Ain't no telling what we could do.
I just want to be able to put a trip together where we could go over there and experience it. And
honestly, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, J.O.
I'm just gonna say honestly. That'll be a powerful episode. The tribe meets Rastafarians. If we can get 2 or 3 of them to sit down and talk with us, and we just have a conversation about, being in tune with nature and things like that, I think that would be epic too. Because I already want to talk to one of them anyway. So the tribe meets.
We can talk almost the whole island, bro.
I was gonna say that.
The whole island.
We can get
stuff to the Rastafari. We got the whole island we could talk to, bro. Because I met so many people, man. I had so many experiences. Like the dude that's making jerk chicken on the street. That's how he make his living when the fast food restaurants close. He hit the street making jerk chicken. He got the best jerk chicken you ever want to taste. Those kind of people I want to interview those kind of people. Too.
Yeah, I'm about to say they're very welcoming, and they'll show you something. Like you're welcome.
And they farm everything down there too.
Yeah, man, y'all love it, man. I'm telling you so.
And they farm everything down there, so.
Yeah, I told them I was gonna try to bring the tribe back, and they was like, man, we'd love to meet them. So I'm gonna try to put something together for us to actually do it.
Yeah, let's do instead of trying. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do it. Let's put a plan together where we can do it, because the tickets ain't really that much. A round trip ticket's probably like $400 or $500. You know what I'm saying? So that ain't really a whole lot. That ain't really nothing. Especially for the experience we would have, and end up going live over there. We get up in the Airbnb and go live, and you know, man, that should be the life, man. That should be bomb, man.
Yeah. Nice.
I can already see it.
Have
That
some
old
nice-
Lennon soup.
Nice
And
interviews.
then I got Jono, the homie. He'll take us around where we need to go. Plus, his brother rents cars. If we want to rent a car for the week or for the day, whatever, we can rent a car, whatever. Covered. I'm telling you. I told him I'm coming back, and I am coming back.
Yeah.
I'm coming back. I'm telling you, man, that shit was amazing.
Yeah. So
I want to.
No, go ahead, Queen.
And I just wanted to say something real quick about I know Tony had brought it up how people were saying things about the electricity might be going down. I think it might not be too far fetched because my electricity has been getting cut. Like around where I'm at, the electricity keep getting cut off and they keep cutting it back on, cutting it off and cutting it back on. It's been happening for the last 2 weeks now. So I feel like they
Inevitable.
Yeah.
The grid is gonna go down. The grid is basically gonna have to. It's gonna have to. But yeah, I think people might need to start thinking of ways to put things in place, like generators,
Exactly.
generators and things of that nature.
That's the beauty of the Hyvibe tribe. We already got a channel for that. Just go right to the channel. Free electricity. There you have it.
Yeah.
You know, and anything y'all
I was
find.
thinking about the generator. I was thinking about the generator part because it would have to be something that's charged off of the sun because if the generators go down, you can't go get gas or petroleum at no gas station.
Exactly. That you would have to have something to run off of, like a solar power, generator.
I was looking that up, and they like.
Then that way, you be chilling while everybody else sit out. You at the crib chilling.
Exactly.
So that costs how much?
They
Oh,
up
no.
there.
They got them though. They got them though.
$6,000.
Yeah, they got them though. Imagine if you got one, you'd be straight.
Yeah. However, see these DIYs though, might be a lot more feasible, especially for depending on the size house you have. Like, man, and people out there, man, they are discovering some or already, stuff that's already been here, but they're putting it out there for free, man. I just only scratched the tip of the iceberg with that, with that channel in the Discord, but there's a lot of stuff out there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it is.
And we could do it like we could do it ourselves. We don't have to go spend $6,000 or find $6,000 or sign or use whatever remedy for $6,000. We don't got to do none of that if we don't need to. We can just go to the local hardware store. You know what I'm saying? And hey, listen, man, I'm watching these videos like, what? You did what? You stuck what in the ground and threw that in the river and now it's doing what? That's crazy. You know what I mean? And that's been here all this time, all these years.
Yeah, I've been seeing light bulbs, they say light up in the water. Like you just need water to keep it lit for it to bring light.
Yeah, I seen them do that. They put something on the little thing, on the thing that screws into the light, into the socket. They
selling them. No, they selling a light bulb like how you have just the light bulb before you screw it into your
Right. They on this video they showed this guy put a substance on the, and then when he stuck it in the water, it lit up. I don't know what substance it was. I forgot. But
what I'm saying is they have the light bulbs that you don't have to add a substance.
Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Don't bring light.
Right. All you need is the water. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I was just saying. I seen the video. I seen the video of the downgraded. You talking about the upgraded version? I seen the video with the other one, and it's all. You know what I mean? Just that. That tells you right there. Like we're taking a new route, a different route, and it's a good thing. And I'm just excited, excited to see this change because the Queen Oracle said it the best. It's gonna happen in our lifetime.
I would definitely just start stocking up on candles and stuff as much as you can, just to have a little, even if it's just a little backpack, just to have something so you could be prepared.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, you should always be prepared anyway, because you just never know, And we definitely ain't in control of none of this.
And they
stuff.
say the first 3 days is the most important part of if any power goes down, getting through the first 3 days is the most important part.
Yeah. It's going to be, because imagine people can't live without some of that stuff. Like, they don't know what life is without some of that stuff. Me personally, I'm going to be all right. I ain't grow up with
Oh,
some
yeah, oh,
of
yeah. I'm in the game, shoot. Ain't going to be worried about nothing.
Okay,
real.
I'm going to grab a couple books, lay back. You all right over there?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Straight up.
And don't let it be during the time when it's the weather is nice, sunny outside.
Okay, listen.
Mm-hmm.
Listen.
Yeah.
See, I wanted to ask y'all about something. Like y'all was talking about like the Matrix, and like we was talking about like if these robots, like if they're gonna start to feel a certain way or think a certain way. Here's my theory on it, right? And this is because of, you know, probably more so because I'm into that type of stuff. But like when they build these simulations, right? Just a simulation to drive a semi truck or whatever in a classroom or something, and these guys go and get their CDL test, right? Or flight simulator. They build these simulations, but now they've expanded these simulations into like whole worlds or universes, like video game, right? And these video games are being infused and created with AI now. And the AI is being told to adapt and to improvise, right? So, with that being said, like, is the first game that did that was the game called The Forest, right? And I was playing it, and these characters aren't like old Mario, and you know what I mean. Everything's set. It's on a timer, and you know what I mean. You could time when you need to go under the spikes or whatever before it drops down or something like that. Everything's on a mathematical schedule, whereas this thing is thinking. It follows you, and sometimes, and while I'm playing it, like it said that one, but I'm like, yeah, right. So as I'm playing, I realize it sometimes will follow me, and then leave, and I don't realize that, you know what I'm saying, what it's doing, and then it's sneaking around, hiding behind bushes now. So each time I played the game, it got more and more advanced. So it's hiding, watching where I'm at, and then at nighttime, it comes back with a whole smort, and it literally destroys my little fort that I built to keep me safe, and almost gets me, but I gotta run and then I gotta rebuild the fort. I'm like, okay, I gotta build it stronger. But as I'm doing that, throughout the days that you're making these forts and stuff, like these things are following you, and I'm thinking to myself, like, if we can create a simulation like that, right? And now this new one I've been playing, this crazy one. I tell y'all got planets and shit. This one's even wilder. Like it's way out of this world. It's unbelievable. But it wouldn't be for y'all because we know we're living in a simulation. But for others, they'll just play and just be like, oh, this is just a video game. But they don't realize the similarities between our life and in those games. Like these characters, these avatars that we're controlling, like they actually are being taught now. I don't know about back then, Mario days, but now they're being created with AI, and they're being told to do. So I think it's gonna come a time where they're going to start to become self-aware. Like I know what I am. I know who created me. I'm not liking this or whatever, or how come I don't have a body, or like they're gonna start to ask questions. The simulations that we're creating, I believe, and
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I asked all the questions that I asked, because this look at the last 25 years or so, Super Nintendo,
yeah,
how the game, how it used to look like cartoons, and just it was one dimensional, just one plane. Now we got virtual reality video games, and that's all just in the last 25 years. So what I'm saying is, if you created something they always trying to advance and they always trying to make things better. So
Right.
you made something that's meant to be as human as possible. I mean, of course, you know, it's inevitable that it's going to advance to a point where, you know, they start feeling human emotions. They already trying to make these things so freaking human. Some dude, I just seen some other video of some guy talking about they trying to make this woman robot so perfect. They saying that this robot can be your companion or whatever you want it to be.
Yeah,
That's
seen
how
that.
advanced they trying to do.
And
Saying that.
and see, even
So, like,
go ahead, bro. No.
no, I'm just gonna say so. I mean, what do they think is gonna happen? That's why I say all this bullying of the robots. I mean, people setting themselves up for failure because you trying to make this thing be like a human. A human eventually gets tired of getting bullied. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right. And any
Strike back.
and anything you give life to is gonna have some sort of no, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? As like we have computers, they pop up an error when you try to do something that it's not programmed to do. It'll pop up an error, or if something's not working right, right? But when you start to give things life, like say there's like we know of essence of some sort of compound that once you put it together, it can sustain life like energy forever. The energy will never die. It will never, you know what I mean, dissipate. You know, you can't separate it because you know what I mean. Once it's bonded, it just bonds or whatever, right? And something like that, like our life. You know, you got to actually put our lights out, and then our energy will go somewhere else. And we create something like that, and then put it in a robot. That robot's gonna start to do the same thing we've done. It may not be our living flesh, but you know what is living flesh. It's only what we know of in this construct. You know that like that those avatars in the game. To them, that moon is real. That moon that I landed on, that I called, you know, Sirius Alchemist system or whatever. Like that's a real, like they to them that's real. When they get hit or get bitten by a creature, like they feel that. You know what I'm saying? Like even though it's not, they may not feel it like we feel it because we don't understand. But you know what I mean? Go ahead, sister.
I feel like everything you and Jay Hooks just described, like just talking about the games, the robots, the artificial intelligence, how you playing these games and seeing the creation of things. It's just a replica of who we are.
Yes.
It's just us using those things outside of our reality of the things that we hold within ourselves. Like when they give us these games and they give us these robots, and like you just said, they're going to start questioning that. Ain't that what we doing?
Yeah.
Nothing that we're putting our attention to is separate from who we are and what the discovery of who we are is. We're just putting more time and attention to those things to take basically from us putting that into ourselves.
Yeah.
Even the robots, they're being programmed. Where are we programmed? With the setup of the game system. Are we setting up our lives and we're building and breaking down things when it don't work, and our seasons come and we have to transform our lives.
Yeah.
We're starting over. It's just a replica of us. It's
exactly.
being put in front of us.
Yeah.
That's why it's called artificial intelligence. It's not real intelligence. It's
Exactly.
artificial.
We have the real intelligence.
Yeah, we have the real intelligence. They have
Right.
the artificial intelligence.
And we program them like we're allowing somebody to program us
Right.
with their artificial intelligence.
And that's why I say I think it's going to be regional and it's going to be centralized to certain areas, because like if the tribe was to make an AI, we're going to make sure we set certain limits on this thing, so it's not going to like, you know, reach a level of wanting to kill us. You know what I'm saying? Like why would you want to do it? Not that we would mistreat it anyway, but you know what I mean? It's still like that when we create these things, we forget to set the boundaries, like the boundaries in the game. Like, you know, you can't jump this high in the game, you know, because it won't allow you to. You know what I mean? Like, we forget to set these boundaries, and when we start talking about AI and leaving it boundless, like, we're just asking for trouble when we do that. And I don't think every creator is gonna do that. I think there's gonna always be a select few that's just like, I'm gonna train. I'm gonna train this robot to kill all Jews. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna always have that. However, I believe in the collective conscious that we're going to get a handle on this and make it. It's going to be centralized to certain areas. Like somebody is in their basement, done created something crazy, and now we got to send in the good robots, AI, to go and stop them. And we've prepared for this type of thing. We're doing that. I think we'll be all right.
Me personally, I don't see myself entertaining nothing outside of the realistic of me. I don't play video games. I don't care for them. Like the thing that they created where you go into, what is that, J Hooks you said, and you put it on your eyes and it's like you in a whole nother reality.
The VR.
Yeah, I've been seeing, the VR thing. I've been seeing people getting their body hurt, breaking their legs.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying?
Running in the TVs and shit.
Yeah, I'm not interested in nothing that takes me out of this reality because I'm still trying to understand this reality. So I don't really have to do nothing outside of it. Like I grew up playing video games, but that's not nothing I care to entertain right now. I feel like I just don't have the time for it. There's so much to learn within me and so much knowledge I need to gain with me that I don't have time to pause to go into another world when I haven't discovered this one fully yet. But that's just me. That's just me personally.
Running into TVs.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie. I don't mess with video games either, but I don't knock, people who do, that's
no, me neither. That's just me.
But,
my son, I got a son that play video games all day, so I just be telling him, make sure you make time for you. That's all.
Kids,
You definitely got to make time for you, man. You can't get locked because you see that a lot, and that's just with anything, not just games. People get too immersed in anything. You get too immersed in food. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, you 600 pounds. You get immersed in to drugs. Everything. You gotta make time for you, and people don't do that. They make time for everything else and everybody else but themselves, and then wonder why they got a alcohol addiction or a drug addiction, or sometimes we
why
just
their life is so stagnant,
right.
And haven't moved, and nothing has changed for them.
Exactly.
Or why they're going in the same cycle, in the same circle, and expecting things to happen when they're not making nothing happen.
Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what turned me off from video games a while ago. But I ain't gonna lie, like the last couple of weeks I have been playing this game called God of War. I have been playing that a little bit here and there, but before that I had cut back from games big time because I had an epiphany one day that like, okay, I'm spending all this time upgrading this character. But then, and it made me feel good, but then when I cut the game off, it's like, what have I upgraded in real life? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, I don't got time for games like I used to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sitting up here spending hours trying to, and I like playing the adventure games, right? So I'll be spending hours trying to unlock this or go through all these different tombs and do all this side quests just to unlock a freaking a new weapon. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I could be exercising, upgrade my body right now. You know what I'm saying?
You see, for me,
some education to upgrade my mind right now. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, see, for me, I use it as motivation. That's been my balance. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm only sleep 4 or 5 hours out of the day. So when I'm doing, tribe work or channel work or whatever work, and then, I'm like, all right, I'm just hang out for a little bit and play the game. But even when I'm playing the game, I'm streaming. So, you know what I'm saying? That's still...
that's definitely a good break. That's why I've been kind of playing God of War a little bit, because God of War, it's a classic.
Yeah, and sometimes, whatever it is, if it's a game, if it's music, or whatever it is, you got to just kind of take a little break from what you've been doing, you know what I mean? Because you can't do sit-ups and push-ups all day. You know what I'm saying? You got to take a break from that. And you got to take a break from anything and everything. So, you know what I mean? When it's break time, some of it, but when you don't have that balance, like I was saying, you get that this Mickey Figgy's eating burgers and Cheetos off his chest, and he's laying back in his chair, and all he does is play the game. Yeah, man, you got a problem, you know. You got a problem, man. It's time to, you know what I mean? Come on now. But yeah,
That's my time, family. I gotta get ready to wrap it up, get up out of here, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you said
Powerful
that. I got to
episode. Okay, yo, powerful episode. This is boy J Hooks the Great. Definitely hope y'all learned something this week. Hope y'all vibe with us this week. Shout out to the tribe. And see y'all next Sunday.
Ashe.
Y'all just the queen. Y'all have a great day on purpose with purpose. Stay present, patient, and positive. I know some amazing and wonderful things has happened to each and every one of us this day, this March. We marching into riches. We marching into wealth. We marching into great health, positivity, and abundance. So, again, tune to us next Sunday. Everybody have an awesome week.
Ashe.
This is Dr. Sublime saying continue to be patient with yourself because you are on a journey. And let us continue to stay focused and stay positive. It was a powerful time. This episode, as always, Hyvibe Tribe was continuously vibing high, and I am awesomely proud to be a part of this beautiful tribe.
Ashe.
Okay.
This is Michael Jordan, the Serious Alchemist, signing off, saying peace to everyone, and to let everybody know there's something greater inside of them than anything they're going through. Appreciate y'all rocking with the Hyvibe Tribe every Sunday. We appreciate y'all rocking with us. And I'm just saying, I just love the tribe. You know what I'm saying? I just love vibing with them. With that, I say peace.
Ashe. And
we love you too.
We definitely want to give another big shout out to Mr. Tony Vortex for stopping in and speaking with us about the metaphysics. And so, again, thanks a lot, Mr. Tony Vortex. It was a pleasure to have you, brother. And this is Speculum Ambulo signing off. We love y'all. Thank y'all for joining. Tap in next Sunday. Every Sunday, 1 p.m. And with that being said, remember to look in the mirror for the change you want to see and love your journey. Peace.
Peace.
Ashe.
Ashe.